welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with Kylie. Kylie makes really great YouTube videos and tutorials about different coding concepts and projects, and I'm really excited to hear about her experience working in tech. So yeah, thank you so much, Kylie, for joining me on this Zoom call. Could you just introduce yourself, your background, your interests, hobbies?
For sure. So hi, everybody. My name is Kylie. I started my YouTube channel back in December because I actually had a friend who has had pretty good success with his YouTube channel. And he actually showed me Mark Rober's channel and I got super excited, which kind of inspired me to make my own. And after a few months, I realized that I'm very passionate about teaching. I had always said that, in my 40s, 50s, I wanted to just be I want to just be a normal public school, high school teacher. And so I think that this YouTube channel gives me a really good opportunity to teach, because I do believe that education should be accessible to anybody who, wants it. So yeah, so that's my YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. It's Kylie Ying. But a little bit about me, I graduated from MIT back in 2019. I had a double major in CS, which is computer science, and physics. And since then, I've been working as a software engineer. And, that's been pretty great, but I'm actually kind of pivoting my life again and going back to school and getting my master's starting this fall in computer science. So that'll be really fun. Yeah, and I guess hobbies about me, well, I enjoy teaching. I enjoy making my YouTube videos. I also am a figure skater, so I've been figure skating a lot. I played hockey recreationally before too. And yeah, I enjoy reading, cooking, eating, sleeping, all those things. So yeah.
Yay, cool. That's so cool. So I guess, how did you get into the tech field? What led you to pursue computer science at MIT?
I always knew, ever since I was fairly young, that I liked math and science more than the humanities. And that's not to say that I didn't like reading and stuff, but it's just when it came down to math, everything just always made more sense. And I do think in a way, I still kind of struggle with reading comprehension, because my mind gets unfocused sometimes and I'll skip paragraphs, and reading was always just kind of my weakness. So I always tended towards math and science. And so naturally, and I also really enjoyed Legos and building things when I was younger. So I kind of figured, well, I probably want to be some type of engineer, scientist. My dad was a scientist. My mom works in the medical field. She's a nurse, but she used to be a doctor. So, my entire family is kind of from this scientific STEM background. And that led me, when I was in high school trying to decide what to do about college, I was well, it just naturally makes more sense if I like math and physics and, STEM fields, the STEM field. It makes more sense for me to just go and pursue that. So I kind of looked into different colleges, different schools that had strong STEM programs. And I didn't actually decide where I wanted to go. I didn't really have any idea where I wanted to go until my senior year, but it all ended up working out for me. So I got pretty lucky. But yeah, no, I think that STEM has always been kind of part of my life, which is why, and I always just enjoyed it. So that's why I ended up choosing that field.
I totally feel you on the Legos thing. I loved playing with Legos growing up too, and just being surrounded by science and math. And
yeah. No, I'm in the DC area right now. And one of my around this area, we have a ton of museums and stuff. And I always loved the natural history museum, which is a bunch of scientific things. It was you have fossils here and there. And, what always fascinated me were all these underwater creatures back in the Jurassic period or whatever. Yeah. And so I always just I loved that museum, and I loved going in there and just looking at all of that stuff.
At MIT, what was your experience with classes, computer science classes, and yeah, like how was your experience with that?
It was good. I mean, I think that MIT is one of those places where they kind of like, it's kind of like a swim or sink type situation. And sometimes in order to swim, you have to like really collaborate with other people. And so I did find that like, you know, I was very well respected in computer science among my peers, and like we all kind of relied on each other in order to get our stuff done. And like with regards to being, you know, women in STEM and stuff, I did find that actually even at MIT where it's like almost a 50-50 gender split, um, it's like it was still, even in my more technical classes, it did still seem like a lot of the guys that, a lot of the people that I would PSET with or, you know, study with, a lot of them did end up being guys. Um, and like, you know, a lot of my really close friends were actually somewhat more of like the natural sciences. So it's really interesting to actually dive into like each major at MIT and see what the gender splits are, because for example, something like nuclear engineering, I think is like 80 or 90% men still.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
can
but
imagine.
overall, computer science was fun. It was pretty chill. I think like 30% of undergrads at MIT end up doing computer science.
How was like the transition from being a student to like full time and working as a software engineer?
Okay, not gonna lie, it was hard. I think that like as a student, you have a lot of autonomy over your schedule and when you get what done. And in addition to that, you know, there's a strict deadline for everything, and you only work as much as you need or you want to, right? Which some days it might end up being like you literally work the entire day, every day for 2 weeks straight. But other times it was like, well, the weather's nice, I'm actually going to take 2 hours off and go walk around, you know. Whereas full time, and like I really took advantage of that at MIT as an undergrad, and I really enjoyed just being outside. So I think that was one of the biggest struggles for me transitioning into my full-time job, is just the fact that I had to sit at a desk for like 8 hours straight was really hard. Um, but I will say there are definitely pros and cons to each. And, you know, just like with anybody coming out of college, I think that having all your friends kind of move away is one of the other really big adjustments that you have to make. Um, but I will say, like, as an engineer, it's really nice to, you know, first of all, just having like a steady stream of income. That's pretty nice. And like being able to, like, you know, go justify things that are maybe a little more expensive. And it's also, I mean, I worked at a startup and the team was fairly small. So it was really great just like getting close to my company. Um, but overall, I think the adjustment, like for me personally, because I was so social, because I took advantage of being outside and all of that, it was hard for me to kind of just say, okay, you have to stay at this desk and code for 8 hours.
Especially after school, like you said, like the whole you get to plan out your own schedule, whereas like with work, it's
Mhm.
like basically 8 hours every day, just like
Mhm.
working.
Yeah.
So I guess during those 8 hours every day, like what was like your day-to-day role? Like what type of work were you doing?
I worked as a software engineer, and a lot of my role, you know, I did full stack engineering. So a lot of my role was like first working with the database and the API, and then some front end features for our web app. And I kind of, at my company, we were all given like a single module to take care of. So to like, I guess, be take ownership of. And every single time we had this one module, we would basically start from the ground up. We would start building in the back end and then start building the front end and then link the two together in order to create the final product. So that was a lot of what my day to day was, which was nice because I'm one of those people who like enjoys doing different things. Um, so it was great being able to work on like back end and front end. And I also did a lot of the design work on the product. So, you know, a lot of the other engineers were more back end tended, but I like designing and being able to kind of let my creative juices flow. So that was also part of my day-to-day job, is just designing like the site that the site experience that users would have.
That's so cool that you got to like focus on different like roles within it. And I guess that's kind of
Hmm.
like the startup, like being part of a startup, it's like not a set like I don't know, box that you're in. It's like you get
Hmm.
to
Yeah,
like kind
for
of move
sure.
around. That's
Yeah, you
really
get to
cool.
wear a ton of different hats, which is really cool.
What technical skills and like soft skills would you say are like the most important?
I think for technical skills, definitely just having like a good grasp of, first of all, good programming, which is like knowing the coding languages, being able to like figure out bugs easily, and just being like, testing your code and stuff like that. So just being like an overall good programmer. But also, of course, you have like the other technical skills, like understanding your algorithms, the more computer science parts of things, where, sometimes like something isn't running fast enough and you have to figure out how to make it faster. Well, that's where the computer science part of it comes in, where you have to like kind of think about, okay, what are all the ways that we can make this run faster? As for soft skills, I mean, I think that, just being a good employee, first of all, like hitting your deadlines, taking control, making sure that like nobody has to keep constantly reminding you of like all your projects, like being very self-driven is one of those features that they're looking for. And I think just, socially, just not being like abrasive.
Would you say like there were any experiences or classes or anything that you took in college that helped you like develop those skills? Or was it more like on the job?
I think like some of them were on the job. I mean, obviously with like programming skills, that's just like your own programming experience, and sometimes you get that from classes, sometimes you get that from like other internships or just random like side projects that you code. I think it's a mix. I think you do get a lot of different qualities and traits from the field, but you also get a lot of like I think that school is a good foundation on top of which to build like your good programming practices and how to apply those skills that you learn in school to like various different aspects.
What's like your favorite part about being in software engineering? And I guess what's also the hardest part?
I think that my favorite part is just software engineering in general. It gives you a really good toolkit to work on your own projects with like almost no cost, right? Like if I said, oh, I have a project idea, I want to like explore this, it costs almost nothing to like actually try to build it, right? Whereas, mechanical engineering or something, you would have to buy the like tools and you'd have to buy the materials and stuff like that. Whereas software, you have an idea, you go build it, you can execute it. Software in general is just very like versatile. It's like, with software, as long as you have a good understanding, I think that software really teaches you how to solve problems, right? Because a lot of software stuff, like whenever you're actually working on a project, like nobody knows how to just code the entire project start to end. A lot of it is like literally how to Google and how to figure out your answers successfully, which that's like such an applicable aspect of like so many different areas of life. I think that one of like the challenges or downsides to software is that it's it is a lot of just sitting at your desk typing away, which, if you're somebody who likes to move around some more, then maybe like software isn't for you. But as anything, there's like pros and cons, right?
Yeah, very true. And I like what you said about like how versatile it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's so like that's literally so true because like it's literally just like writing lines of code and then you can like solve different problems, which like that's
Mm-hmm.
what I find so cool about like computer science and technology.
Mm-hmm.
It's like working at a tech company, like in a tech role, what has been like your experience as a woman in tech?
I find that like in all my experiences, like most people are pretty friendly. I haven't felt like I've been held back because like I'm a girl, but I do think that like in a lot of my experiences, I mean, women in tech is like definitely rarer than men in tech, right? And I do think that these stereotypes are out there. There are completely companies out there that do not have this respect for like women, right? And I have seen companies where it's like literally the receptionist and whatever is female, and then all the like tech people, almost all the tech people, or people actually, I guess, adding like analytical value to the company are male. And it's when I see situations like that, I'm like, well, you know, like I completely believe that you should always choose the most qualified candidate. But with that being said, I think that says a lot about a company's willingness to go and seek out the women that are highly qualified for their positions, because they definitely exist out there, right? And it's like, you know, a lot of these bigger companies, they have specific programs that target these women and try to draw them in, whereas other companies don't do that. And like sometimes it's just because they're too small and they don't have like the budget to emphasize that in their recruiting process. But I think that it's very important if you want to achieve like a more balanced, more diverse technical staff set, to actually go and seek those people out.
So I guess moving away from like tech life, so you are a YouTuber making YouTube videos. So like, how has that whole experience been for you?
I think that, I mean, I am like relatively new, so the experience has been like pretty good. I think I didn't realize it was such hard work, like editing videos, coming up with ideas, like making these tutorials. It's actually a lot harder than it seems. Sometimes like a 10-minute video will take me like 5 hours to make, right? But I am having a lot of fun with it because, as I said earlier, one of my goals is to teach. And I think that YouTube is a great platform to teach because it's so easily accessible by anybody who has internet. Being a quote unquote YouTuber, I think also gives you a platform. And I want to like, I think it's great. Like I get comments sometimes about how like there's like 11-year-old kids out there watching my tutorials and saying like, thank you for teaching me how to make my first game in Python, which I think is like awesome. And I started realizing that this platform you can use to really inspire people. And so I've actually wanted to kind of rebrand my channel and make it so that it targets women more. And in the sense of like I think a lot of tutorials out there are very like, you know, especially in data science, people are always doing basketball, NBA, NFL analytics. And it's like, well, sometimes girls, like, I'm not saying that there aren't sports fans out there, but it's like, sometimes that might drive women away, and there aren't any, you know, analytics that are like, oh, ballet data or, you know, gymnastics or US women's soccer, right? Of course, this is all just a generalization, but I think that I want to dig deeper into those topics that might interest women and try to get women interested in computer science. And I think that this interview thing is really great. And I actually had the exact same idea for my own channel. I've been wanting to interview successful women in tech and just STEM in general in order to kind of hear their stories and hear how they were able to combat this like male dominated area.
That's great. And I can confirm that I have worked with way too many basketball data sets and sports data sets in college.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what is your favorite video that you've made so far?
Okay, my favorite video is my Bumble video. Okay, so basically in college, I was a Bumble ambassador, and Bumble is one of those brands where like you hear the word and you're like, oh, it's just like a dating app, like Tinder, whatever, right? But if you dig deeper into their philosophy, they are very much into just inspiring women. That's like their entire brand. It's just make the first move in anything, whether it's a relationship, friendship, like job, etc. And there are so many different, they have, you know, Bumble Date, but they also have BFF for making friends and Bumble Biz for making those connections. And so, you know, Bumble's message is very inspiring. So first of all, I wanted to do something with Bumble, and Valentine's Day was coming up. So I was like, I had this idea. I was like, why don't I just code a Valentine's Day bot and see if it can like help me actually land a Valentine's Day date? And so basically what I did with this bot is just swipe right on everybody, and anybody that I match with, I would message, will you be my Valentine? And I want to see what people actually said. And of course, everything from there, I like manually responded and whatever. It wasn't a full bot. And to anybody watching out there who's like, you can't build bots, sorry. It was just an experiment. But basically, I think that was my favorite video because I was able to incorporate so much like humor into it. And it was one of those like applications of computer science for your life. And, you know, I just think that that video was such a fun one to make. And it was such like, it was kind of like a real like, oh, you can use computer science to do like cool things and like maybe land dates, you know. But I think my favorite tutorial that I've made so far is the one where there's this one girl who on TikTok, this went viral, who sent like each word of the B movie script to a friend as like separate text messages. So I kind of replicated that, and I basically made a tutorial on that and put that up. I really like that one because, well, one, it's doing very well. I think a lot of people are searching for it. And two, I just think that was like a fun, quirky project. It's not one of those like, you know, hangman, tic-tac-toe, you know, guess the secret number. All of these are so traditional, like, again, they don't really apply to your life. It doesn't show you the power of Python. Whereas this, it's like a fun little thing, but you know, it shows you, oh, I can use Python to send text messages to like all my contacts. Like that makes my life so much easier, right?
And that really shows like the power of like coding. Like you can like literally use it like get dates or like
yeah,
send
yeah,
text
exactly.
messages, and you can do so much with it. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I guess like moving forward, you mentioned that you're going to be getting your master's. So I guess like what goals do you have for the master's program, and like what do you hope to do after that?
So with this master's program, I'm kind of hoping to just go back and learn a little bit more. I think that, you know, there are some classes that I wish I had taken during MIT. And also it's just, I had, you know, I kind of hesitated with software because I had also studied physics in college, and I kind of just missed that more analytical aspect. So I kind of want to go back and see if I can like merge the two fields together and maybe do something more analytical like that.
Just like based on like your experiences, like school and everything that you've been through, like what advice would you give to students who are interested in tech, or maybe not sure if they want to pursue tech?
I'm a big believer in doing what you want to, right? So for people who have tried it and they know they don't want to do tech, like so be it. But I think for people who are unsure, I would say dig a little deeper, like go a little bit further, right? And, you know, see whether or not you genuinely like it. There are so many different like applications of tech and so many different fields within the single field that, you know, there's options. And I would say try to see if you can find anything that you like. You know, I just wouldn't like, don't completely like push away the entire field when you haven't really explored it.
Well, thank you so much, Kylie, for taking time out of your day and talking with me on this Zoom call. Like we discussed, Kylie also has a YouTube channel, and she posts really, really great content and different tutorials about computer science. So make sure to check that out. She also has an Instagram and a Twitter, so make sure to check all of those out. I'll link all of them in the description below. But yeah, thank you so much, Kylie, for joining me on this series, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!